What's up, guys? Welcome to Dragon Off-Road. Today we're going to be talking about this off-road air compressor that I've been working on. This is one off of eBay. It's a 2-cylinder. It's kind of similar to the maxitrac, but it's probably about half the power, so it gets half as hot. It should last twice as long, hopefully. I've done a lot of stuff to this. Let's get some close-up shots. First thing you'll notice is that I changed out the tubing there with some flared 3/8 inch nickel copper tubing for both cylinders into this aluminum manifold. You can get this on Amazon for like $5. It's a 6-port manifold. So I've got a little drain petcock for the condensation. A lot of the heat gets dispersed through here so the fitting doesn't get too hot. And I also added this Anderson connector so I can easily, put these jumper cables on my car and plug it in that way, so I'm not lugging the cables around with the compressor because this thing's heavy enough as it is. I put a 40 amp fuse. That's a maxi fuse in line on the power cables. Got some spare maxi fuses right there. But yeah, I did this nickel copper tubing because I noticed the original way it was set up was kind of like this, and one of the ports was like 1/8 of an inch. It's this tiny little thing, and the other one, was like 3/16 of an inch. I was like, that's not. And I also noticed one cylinder was getting a lot hotter than the other cylinder, like 30 to 40 degrees hotter, and you would think they're both doing the same work. They should both be getting, an equal amount of heat. So I figured I'd do a lot of just little upgrades. I took the whole thing apart and greased the pistons with some vacuum grease. Because I took this, replaced this thing, I also, had to rebuild the handle, so I just kind of used this paracord. This is like kind of 550 kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a big challenge to get these 90-degree tubes made. I mean, I had to learn how to cut tubing, flare tubing, and bend tubing, and then trying to do all of that, because you have to put both nuts on there before you can flare the bottom end, and they just were very tight trying to get up, out of the way of the flare tool to get that on there. But now that they're on, they look just awesome. I mean, it just looks like solid gold. And yeah, I pressure tested everything. It'll hold 150 psi for, a good long while. And so I added this standard air fitting right here in the middle. And just when it's in its like portable state, if I'm not doing anything crazy, I'll just use the original air hose. But I put a standard air fitting on it so that I could use any air tool with it. Because I also have this 50-foot recoil hose that I want to use with it. So that's got high flow fittings on it. The high flow has a much larger hole in it, so it flows a lot more air. For stuff like impact wrenches, you want a bigger high flow fitting to get the recommended CFM to your tool. So I might use that with something like this, a little air impact. Use that, and also if I want to run air tools, I'll take this air pig and I can pump it up with this air compressor, and then just plug the air tools into it, and I'll have plenty of stored air to run those tools or air up tires or whatever it is. I also added a pressure cutoff switch, so the switch is off at like 120 psi and switches back on at 90. So that's nice, so it's not just continuously running and just wearing out the pistons, pumping at 150 psi or whatever. So that recoil hose can only handle like 120 psi, so you gotta limit it. But that's nice. When you turn it on, it just kind of comes up to pressure and then shuts off until it comes back below 90 again. So I got some nice heat shrink and spade connectors on there. Some minor stuff that I did, I added a grommet to where the wires come out of the housing because that was just rubbing against this metal corner. I was worried that was going to short out at some point. And I tried to kind of make a little rubber foot for it with some inner tube material. I also made inner tube rubber bands to hold these air filters together because they like to just kind of fall apart. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I've done to this thing. It was a really fun build. I think it'll work a lot better and just last a lot longer now that I'm not, you know, relying on this cheap ass rubber hose with these tiny little, you know, nonsense fittings on them. You know, now it's, you know, these threads are tapped to 1/4 inch NPT to 3/8 inch flare connectors. This is all solid. This is like very good heat dispersal because the air coming in is pretty hot, so heat gets dispersed. And then the hose is not going to get too hot, and all the moisture will condense in here, and then you can drain that out when you're done. Yeah, I just wanted to make a short little video. I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched a lot of videos on this. There was one guy that made a whole manifold himself, and that really inspired me to do this video and to just work on my compressor, because, you know, I thought it was a good compressor, but then I realized it could be so much better. So now it's like a work of art. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hit that like and subscribe button to help out the channel. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, which is when you get into the YouTube partner program, so excited for that. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Happy trails.